There's a lot going on. We're starting with President Trump, now on the way to South Korea, and what could be an historic meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong Un.
The president tweeted an invitation to meet Kim Jong Un at the DMZ for a handshake, or maybe more. But he says he would now consider, think about this, he would consider stepping across the border into North Korea. That's something no other president has ever.
If you do meet Kim Jong Un at the DMZ tomorrow, would you step across the border into North Korea?
Sure, I would. I'd feel very comfortable doing that. I would have no problem.
Yeah, President Trump would have absolutely no problem stepping into North Korea. But apparently, CNN does have a problem with it, especially from what they perceive as the extreme casualness of the invite to Kim.
So President Trump says that he may meet again with North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, but it all started with this Twitter diplomacy. Here's a tweet from the president. I will be leaving Japan for South Korea with President Moon. While there, if Chairman Kim of North Korea sees this, I would meet him at the border, DMZ, just to shake his hand and say hello, question mark, exclamation point. Well, joining me now is CNN Global Affairs analyst Aaron David Miller, former State Department negotiator, and CNN political commentator Errol Lewis, political anchor for Spectrum News. Gentlemen, welcome both to you. And Errol, let me start with you. I mean, the president just asked to meet Kim Jong Un with the casualness that I call my friends or text them when I'm in New York and say, hey, let's meet for tacos, right? Is it plausible to think that that is it? It is what it is on its face, that there is no kind of background work to see if there will be this meeting, or the president just tweeted out, hey, if you see this, meet me at the DMZ?
Hey, Kim, let's meet at the DMZ for tacos and, of course, kimchi, since we're in Korea. And, of course, CNN has to bring on a commentator that portrays this as somehow a victory only for Kim.
Well, look, some of the reporting suggests that a secret and undisclosed meeting to the DMZ was on the president's itinerary. For him then to go to Twitter and sort of put this out, music to the dictator's ears, something that, this very repressive leader very much wants, which is for the president to sort of normalize him and act as if he's somebody that the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, would go out of his way and go up to the border of a repressive regime where there are an estimated 200,000 people in captivity, political prisoners subjected to torture, execution, physical abuse, just to shake the dictator's hands. It's almost unthinkable, but this is what he said, and I imagine this is what he might do.
And now they bring on a second commentator to echo the Kim victory shtick of the first commentator.
You know, a lot of this trip is driven by what I call the summit of the vanities. Clearly, with Mr. Putin, that's the case. The president thinks of his own persona, his own needs, and his own interests first. With Kim, I think it's very clear. I mean, I think Errol's right. It's a clear victory for Kim Jong Un, who has made very little compromise on the nuclear issues or on human rights. But for the president, I think it's even more important because he really believes that Kim, not the Iran agreement, and certainly not Vladimir Putin, is his ticket into the history books. He fundamentally changed the conversation with respect to North Korea, and I think he deserves credit for that. But I think he really does believe, by keeping Kim on the string, by flattering him, by stepping into North Korea, that in fact he preserves the option of a credible agreement at some point during the course of his presidency that would clearly, by any standard, win him the Nobel. It would be quite interesting as well if President Trump grabbed President Moon and the three leaders had a trilateral. Frankly, that would be in American interest, because it really is in our interest to foster a much better relationship between these two leaders to attain security and stability on the Korean Peninsula.
And now we see CNN's big worry that the world will see that very, very historic first step by Trump into North Korea that the following commentator portrays as not meaning much of anything unless somehow Trump returns with human rights prisoners from North Korea.
Before we move on to China, the significance of the possibility that the president could take that step into North Korea. We saw Kim Jong Un and Moon Jae-in take that step a couple of months ago over the border back and forth into their respective countries. This president says, sure, I'd have no problem with that.
Yeah, it was so casual. It was really startling, Victor. And, you know, look, it would be such a wonderful thing if he could step into North Korea and step back with some of the human rights prisoners that normally one would expect the American president to at least be concerned about or express some concern about. If it improves nuclear diplomacy, you know, all to the better. It's unclear whether that's going to happen. And frankly, there's no evidence.